What's going on, guys? My name is Trevor. Welcome to the channel. The Flash zooms its way into theaters this weekend, making it the final movie inside of the DCEU. If you haven't had a chance to see it yet, definitely click away or save this video for later and come back, because we're about to dive into it in spoiler fashion, talking about the things I absolutely loved about this movie and the things I absolutely despised about this movie and everything that fell in between. Full spoiler warning ahead, because we're going to dive deep into this movie, but let me know your thoughts on this film down below in the comment section. What did you think of it? Was it one of the greatest comic movies of all time? Because that's what people were saying before going to see this movie. Let me know your thoughts down below. Leave a like. Coming into this is the biggest problem I have with this movie, and I guess a lot of movies in general, is the word greatest of all time, the best ever, gets thrown around just a little bit too much. So many people are saying this is the greatest comic book movie, this is the best DC movie. So going into this movie, I was expecting one of the best DC and comic movies. And for me, that was probably the biggest demise of this film. Was it good for the most part? At times, I really enjoyed it. But overall, I just found myself incredibly disappointed with this movie. And we're going to get into all those problems I had with this, but starting this movie off, it opens up with a bang. Ezra Miller is fantastic as Barry Allen. We have the Batfleck on screen. My favorite version of Batman. I was so glad to see him back and in action. The first probably 25-30 minutes was non-stop action, and I loved it. Then we get into the whole multiverse, and for me personally, I am tired of multiverse, whether that's Marvel, whether that's Spider-Man, whether that's now DC. We got too much multiverse going on, and I'm just a little bit over it because I feel like the stakes aren't high because we can change anything because it's the multiverse, but that's a topic for another time. But Barry Allen basically is trying to go back in time and save his mom without interacting with his mom. Just change one small thing, and that obviously changes the trajectory of everything, and he comes back into a different timeline, and that's where we get two Barry Allens on screen at one time. And I think that's what made the movie work so well for me, is seeing two different Barry Allens. They used that very well, and it was funny. Younger Barry Allen was absolutely hilarious, and real-time Barry Allen was very serious because he's been a superhero for years. So we got to see really how the Flash got his powers in this movie. It was almost an origin story tossed in there, which I actually really appreciated. Seeing him get electrocuted, that was probably the best the CGI looked in this movie. I really enjoyed that part, and I really liked the part where it was just two Barry Allens trying to figure out how to kind of get back into normal time Barry Allen's timeline. I thought that worked very well for this movie, and then it goes into third act, and it just it really lost me. We're gonna get to that here in a second. Michael Keaton as Batman, back as Batman for I'm guessing the final time. Was it cool to see? Yes. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. But what wasn't that cool was he didn't really have a lot of lines, and the lines he did have, I wasn't really sold by them. Maybe that's how he played Batman back in Batman '89. I have not watched that movie in a couple years again. But I wanted just a little bit more for his character. I felt like he didn't have much to do. It was cool to see him in action. It was really cool. Batman, what do we do? We try not to die. So I thought that was cool. I enjoyed that aspect of it. And also, they're rumored of cameos in this movie. I thought there was going to be so many more cameos. We got a cameo of Nicolas Cage. Weird. Wonder Woman. Cool for about 2 seconds she was on screen. And then George Clooney, who we'll get to here in a little while. So I thought the cameos were just going to be monumental to so much more. And again, just the hype around this movie, I think I just went in with too high of expectations for it. But when the story, again, is focused on Barry Allen and Barry Allen, trying to get to regular time Barry Allen's timeline, the movie worked for me. It was charming. It was fun. And then we're just going to hop right to this part. Just the third act, we get introduced to, obviously, Zod's coming back, and Kara L., Supergirl, Superwoman, have you. She comes in on screen, and I'm going to stand by this. We did not need Zod in this movie, and we did not need Kara in this movie. I think we could have had Kara in like a future movies, because they bring these characters in, and that movie at that point really just fell apart for me. Once they came on screen, I was looking at my watch, I was like, we are really deep into this story to be adding two really big characters right now. And Zod, yes, he was a good villain in Man of Steel, but I don't need to see him again. Even Michael Shannon said in the interview, he was like, oh, I'm dead. And they're like, nah, it's the multiverse. You can come back. And that's what it felt like. It's like, hey, we can bring him back. So we're going to bring him back. But I'll stand by this. Well, I enjoyed Kara. I thought she was a cool character. She did not need to be in the movie. And the action with her, the CGI was terrible. I don't know if it's the budget, if they're going for this video game look, but man, it's hard to get past. Like, it really takes you out of the movie. My wife literally was like, this looks awful. And I was like, I have to agree with you. The CGI in this film looks absolutely terrible. But when Kara and Zod are on screen together, I was like, they're fighting. Yes, it's cool. We got two Flashes on there fighting together. Regular time Barry, who's been a superhero for years, to try and teach new Barry how to be the Flash. So it's all cool and fun. And Keaton's action in this was the best time. But they bring these characters on really to just kill them. And they form like a little Justice League inside this movie, which is fine. But they kill Michael Keaton's Batman, and they kill Kara. then they go back in time and they bring him back, and then they do that again, and do that again, and they constantly aren't going to win the situation. So by the time that part rolled around, in my opinion, the movie was a waste of time. And that's exactly what I felt like when I was walking out. I was like, I felt like we really just went nowhere. We had this whole grand epic story that was working so well that completely just crumbled by the end of it. And all of a sudden, we're back to square one. I was a little bit confused with the whole, like, how it went down and why we ended the way it ended. And then we get into, like, this whole thing with a time travel Barry Allen, who's like the spiky alien dude, and that part lasted just for a little bit, and then they all died, and then regular Barry Allen went back in time, and he ended up in George Clooney's universe. So it's like, is George Clooney the Batman? I just have a big question mark about this movie, and that was my biggest problem coming out of it, is that I just wanted a lot, and I felt like I just got a little, and I felt like I wasted 2.5 hours, and the runtime was absolutely absurd. The movie did not need to be that. Okay, let's wait around for the post-credit scene. It's Aquaman who's drunk, and that's it. That's post-credit scene. So is this the version of Aquaman we're gonna get for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom? Because, man, I'm not here for it. At the end of the day, I wanted a lot more in this movie, and I just didn't get it. Unfortunately, this obviously review didn't hit every single thing that happened in the film, but for me personally, I just wanted a whole lot more. We didn't get it, but let me know your guys' thoughts on The Flash. Let me know your spoiler thoughts down below, and what did you think of Kara and Zod, and how this movie ended, and George Clooney as Batman. Who's gonna be Batman for the DCU? I felt like since this was supposed to set the DCU, it did not a good job at that. So I'm very curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this movie. Let me know all that down below in the comment section. Leave a like, hit the subscribe button. I don't hate this movie, like I sound like I'm completely hating on it, but it's about a 3 out of 5. And I was expecting a much better movie than a 3 out of 5. So don't absolutely hate this movie. There was some pieces to enjoy. I thought Andy Muschietti did actually a pretty good job. Just that third act, I'm not sure whose fault that was, but not a big fan of it. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this film. Leave a like. I'll see you in the next one.